Yo, I said stop myself, I'm not myself. Headed into anything, knowing that I got myself. You know, my enemies wishing that I shot myself. Dead, on the bed, clothes covered in red. Stop myself, I'm not myself. Headed into anything, knowing that I got myself. You know, my enemies wishing that I shot myself. Dead.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the MMA Fool. That's what you guys know me by. My name is Saeed, obviously, and I have a very, I had 10 lines under the word very, special guest today, none other than NFL legend and three-time All-Pro linebacker, Shawne Merriman. There's so many accolades, too, I could add to that, but we have, NFL sacks leader in 2006. We can go on for days, but thank you. A pleasure having you on the show today, and welcome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Glad to be on, man. We get a chance to do this.
Yeah. So, first things first. We know a lot of people don't know about your nickname, where it came from. So, let's start with that. Can you tell us about your nickname, your upbringing, like a little bit of your past, just a little to touch up on?
Yeah, for sure. I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, and Washington D.C. Ended up going to University of Maryland, playing football 3 years there. And I actually, it's funny you asked, man. So I got that nickname Lights Out my sophomore year in high school at Frederick Douglass. And I knocked out 4 kids in one game. And, this was like pre-social media and all that stuff, right? So like when it happened, about 20 or 25 students come run up to me and say, man, you knocked those kids lights out. And I looked at them like, yeah, just, call me Lights Out. I didn't think nothing of it, right? I was like, yeah, call me Lights Out. And so I get to school Monday and I'm walking around, got my backpack on, my books in my hand. And next thing you know, like 3 people walk by me and they say, hey, good game, Lights, short for Lights Out. So they start calling me Lights. And it happened probably about 10 more times during the day in school, and then rush home that day after school. And, my mom was in the room. I'll never forget. She was in there smoking a cigarette, and I'm kind of like waving smoke out so I could see it. It was so bad that she was smoking cigarettes all day. Yeah. And I said, hey, Mom, this Lights Out thing, it's going to be big. I want to go get a tattoo on my right forearm. And she looked at me and said, boy, get the hell out of the room, was her exact word. So I bugged her every day, man, for 2 weeks. She finally let me go get this Lights Out switch on my right forearm, and it became a thing. So it was like, what I was known for on the field. And also, most people, I would say 80% of people, if not more, that I knew called me Lights. The only one still called me Shawne was like, family for the most part. Everybody else called me Lights. All my friends and stuff, they still call me Lights. So it just became a thing.
That's pretty intense. You see that in sports, obviously, right? In MMA and boxing. But in football, high school, yeah, you were destined to do something, and obviously it translated into Maryland and then into the NFL, where you were with the Chargers, and that was pretty cool. How was that? How you look at it now? Like, it feels like it went by fast, or not really?
Yeah, man, super fast. When I talk to a lot of the young guys nowadays, I tell them, man, like, take everything in, because it goes by a lot faster than you think, and it becomes like a blur, especially when you have the start that I had in the NFL, right? Defensive Rookie of the Year, All-Pro, Pro Bowler, back-to-back, Defensive Player of the Year, runner-up. And so what happens throughout that process, man, like you're blowing up, and you got so many opportunities, right? So many requests for things to host stuff and charity, and it's like a nonstop thing that you get pulled in so many different directions. Before you know it, your career's up. And a lot of guys find their way there. They're trying to find the next thing, right? For me, I was ready. I was going to do TV. Had my Lights Out companies and business. I was ready to move on to the next thing. So it was a lot simpler for me to make those decisions than a lot of other guys, man. But yeah, it goes by fast.
Yeah, it's intense. But we are here now, and like throughout that process, when did you start noticing MMA? When did you attend like your first event, or actually like it caught your attention? When do you remember?
2005. I went to Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell. That was my first. I think that was 2005. Yeah. I remember walking in, man, and I felt that energy, from the crowd and the production. And at that point, I think I've only went to like 1 or 2 boxing matches, but it wasn't the same. You know, it was like when I went to, and I grew, by the way, my uncle's a professional boxer, so I grew up boxing anyway. But it was
Okay.
a different kind of feel going into a boxing match and then going into what the UFC had built. I've never been, the only thing I've seen like that is walking out into an NFL stadium. That was the closest thing that I've ever been to. So I had that same adrenaline rush. And, you know, I'm just coming off of, I think, you know, it was my rookie year. Either the season was over and people, you know, defensive rookie of the year, Pro Bowl. Like I'm on the map now. So when I walked in, everybody knew who I was. And that ultimately, man, I was like, man, this is what I want to do. I want to be around. And that following year, I started to train a little bit with Randy Couture during the off seasons. And so that's how I really got into the space, man. And you know, I started training with Randy, and then met Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, and when Tyron Woodley and all these guys when they started to come on in that mid to late 2000s, I was in the gym with all these guys. You know, Tyron Woodley will tell you I was in there with these guys training during the off season. And just I love to work. You know, I love to learn. And it's nothing like that. There's no sport like it. It's just a different beast, and that part I loved about it.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Like a lot of people like, oh, Shawne's probably a casual. You've been in this sport longer than than most of the people I know. You know, that's a classic fight. How is it training with Randy Couture, especially you? Like you're obviously like bigger than him, right?
It was humbling. Believe it was very humbling, dude. I mean, it was because, you know, again, you know, I'm 21, 22 years old. You coming in, you know, you've had this amazing football career, and I don't walk in the door with my chest poked out, but I'm still, you know, I'm you know, rookie of the year and all this other stuff, and big dude, explosive. And we just started to pummel. We were just pummeling starting out, and he was just showing me some movement, man. He was just tossing me around. And I couldn't figure out, just use my leverage and doing different things. And I remember being tired the first like 20 minutes into working with him, and I was exhausted. So I got through the rest of the session, but I walked out. I felt defeated. I was like, man, it was a different beast. And sure enough, I texted him when I got back down to San Diego. I did my football working out with the Chargers, and I drove back up the next day to work with Randy. And that continued on for a while, and then I started to work with all these other guys. And before you know it, man, I was meeting the managers, the coaches, the gyms, other fighters. You know, I've been around this sport, man, for a little over 18 years. And now I'm talking about the originals of the guys who kind of built what the UFC and MMA is right now. And so I had an opportunity to be around that long.
Yeah, right before the money started coming in the way it is now, you know, like it's the pioneers, the Mount Rushmores of the sport.
Yeah, no, for sure, dude. I mean, and the cool thing about that, you get a chance to see the sport evolve, right? And not just with the fighters, but the styles, the skill level. And I always said this, you know, the UFC and MMA fighters in general, they're, as far as training and how they take care of their bodies, is catching up to the NFL and pro level stuff, because these guys, man, used to, you know, doing when they wasn't fighting, they wasn't doing anything. They wasn't training. They wasn't, you know, guys around drinking, hanging out, not taking care of their bodies. And now, you know, a lot of especially the top guys, but mostly a lot of these guys are training year round. They're taking care of their bodies, right? You know, nutritionists and watching what they eat and how they train and training smarter. I've been around the whole evolution of it, man. So it's really cool to see where it is right now.
Yeah, the UFC with the PI, they do help out the fighters a lot. So you love to see that.
Yeah,
But,
dude. I was you know, funny thing about the PI, you know, I went over to see Dana, and you know, we talk here and there, and I told him after I looked at it, this was some time ago, but when I visited the PI, I said, this looks very much like NFL locker room and NFL capabilities. And at some points, when it comes to the technology side of it, maybe better. And what some of these guys got an opportunity to use in there, man. I was very impressed.
love to see that. Yeah, you're starting to see boxers and other athletes get invited there. So they're doing something right there. And well, like what made you want to start a promotion? Like obviously like an MMA promotion. Like what sparked it?
Yeah, so yeah, outside of training, just being around the sport and loving it, and two, having a passion for it, man. You know, you talk about some of these casuals just kind of coming around nowadays, and you know, think they're an MMA or UFC expert or whatever. Man, I'm like, dude, I've really been around this thing for close to 2 decades, like really. When it wasn't a thing, it was like still considered like the backyard craziness, whatnot. So I got a chance to work with Bellator as an ambassador for a little over 2 years. And so I worked closely with everybody there, Scott Coker and all these guys. So that led me to understand the business side of things. I already had the production side because I've been in TV for a long time before then, working at all the big networks with the big networks. So for me, it was easy transition, having a love and passion for the sport. One, still a fan of it, right? So I think you still gotta somewhat be a fan of it and got that feeling of like when the big fights happening and so even though I'm on the business side of it, you still low key still a very much of a fan of the sport. But working with Bellator those couple of years really helped me understand the grand scheme of things, venues, understanding how to run a big show. And that really helped out a lot. So when I launched Lights Out Extreme Fighting, it was a combination of understanding production because I've been in it, having the relationships with the fighters and knowing what matchmakers to work with and fighters to use in which camp and which gyms, how to sell tickets because I picked that up from working with Bellator for a lot. And so yeah, man, it's just it came together, but it's something that I always knew that I wanted to be in and I was going to be in for a long time.
Yeah, and so your matchmaker, you mentioned your matchmaker is Jane Estioko.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about her?
Yeah. So do you know Jane? She was at Bellator.
Bellator, yeah.
Yep. But they all go back, man. I got a great crew who was with Bellator for a long time and really the backbone of Bellator and what they built internally because internally Bellator was a great organization. I use that in the past tense because they got some struggles over there right now. But anyway, I always thought it was a great brand and they did a really good job, matchmaking and running the show. And they had some very qualified people that a few of those are working with me now, and I'm glad to have them. So, I love experience, right? If people love this sport and then have experience, you can't buy experience. You just can't. And there's things that I'm great in, and I like to scale, and I like to go big and work with people who love what they do and got experience. And Jane is one of them.
That's dope. Also, I saw Pablo Alcina in commentary. I used to see him on Channel 11 over here now because I'm from LA, as you can tell. So I see him all the time and like ran into him. But when I saw him, I was like, wait, I know him. It's like, wow. So it's pretty cool.
Everything, man, from the talent. We got some great talent, man. Him and Blake Troop, I think, are two of the best in the business. And the combination with them two, Blake is extremely articulate. He just had a fight. He fought our last fight as well. That's gonna be whether it's last one or not, I don't know. But even if it is, he's done a great job at the booth and great addition. Eduardo and Effie. Effie was a former, I believe Effie might have been the first Mexican champion of the UFC. I believe.
Yeah.
Yes. So again, man, being around TV for a long time, being around production and knowing talent, being able to work with the best, bringing them in. Also, Bonnie Jill, is a kind of a post-fight in the ring for us, and she's great. Been around a long time. A lot of the NFL she's done for a long time, but I'm glad to have her in Lights Out Extreme Fight.
It's good. You have a good team around you, and it's only getting better and bigger. How's Long Beach? I've been to a boxing fight there, those studios. It's pretty cool, actually. Like, what made you start there in like this part of LA or the location?
Yeah, I think for us, Long Beach has been like a great spot because it's central, right, to San Diego, to all the way up. LA's right there. You got a lot of fighters out of Riverside and OC. So it's been a central location for us. We purposely did that because, we have fights pretty frequently every 4 to 6 weeks. So you want to have some guys come up from San Diego. You want to have, being able to match them, bring up maybe up and coming guy that's from Nick Diaz's camp up north. You bring them down. And so when you working like that, and then Thunder Studios, the location has been great, man. They got everything in there, and production has always been at the top of the list for me. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of because I'll be somewhere in the country. I was back home in DC a few months ago, and the first thing people walked up to me was like, man, I was at the bar and I was watching, Lights Out Extreme Fight, man. You guys' production is dope. And I'm like, that's pretty cool for me because it's utmost important about the quality of it and the look and how Lights Out is supposed to look.
Yeah, and like when you're there, you get to experience it. And for the fighters too, like it makes you feel special, it makes you like, like this is like, it's a big show. Like it makes you feel wanted. It makes you feel important. It makes you want to put on a big show,
Yeah, and then look, man, I'm a former athlete, right? So I know that feeling of walking out the tunnel and Sunday Night Football. You're looking at the cameras and the lights and the smoke and all that other stuff. So I know the feeling these guys get, when they fight for us and how they, that walk down and the crowd right there is very intimate. We have a lot of like just tech and things that we integrate into the program. This is gonna be a massive year for us, man, and kind of, I think we've been on the map, but not to the point to what we're about to do. And I feel like I got a great team. I got some great people working in there, and for me, it's just about elevating the brand and what we're doing, the quality of fighters, the access to fighters that we're getting now. We didn't have this time last year. We're still kind of making a name for ourselves, and promotion's been around for a decade, right? And so for us, man, it's really about just leveling up and just growing. And that's what this 2025 is going to be about.
Speaking of growing, I saw your post earlier on Instagram about the AI canvas. That's something insane. I've never seen something like that before.
Yeah. We love being innovative, right? And trying out new things. For one, we can, because we can try it out. Nobody's going to jump down our backs if it doesn't work. But we've been testing this AI sponsorship opportunity behind closed doors for the last 4 fights. So I'll go out there. If anybody see me missing from the cage, I'm sitting at the table, it's because I'm back up in the production truck to see what this sponsorship looks like and how the graphics can change during the fight or between the fight, right? So my thing is, I know what it's like for a lot of these businesses trying to get up off the ground. It's hard. You got a water company, a product, a clothing company, accessory company, whatever it is. You may not have the money to come and spend with a company like us because we're pretty expensive. We're the most distributed regional promotion in the country, if not the world, after we air off of Lights Out Sports TV. And so, we got a big ticket. But I also realized that there are some up and coming companies that's looking for promotion and visibility. They're trying to look for marketing, but they couldn't afford us. So what this technology allows us to do to kind of buy a fight of the night and not the entire night, where it's not so expensive. So you open the floodgates to these companies that's trying to showcase their product or their company, right? Maybe they just got put on the shelves at a Costco, but they haven't made any money yet, right? Or they're at a big clothing store or warehouse store, and they haven't made any money yet. So now we're opening the doors for them to come and spend some money with us and partner with us without having to pay for an entire night. This is game changing for us because the sponsors can be geographed from country, by state, by county, all the way down by zip code. So somebody can see depending on what zip code they are, and we'll get to that point. But right now, it's and then look, once it works for us, and it will, because I've already seen it. We're opening the doors to other combat sports, the other sports leagues, and we want this to be a thing, and we know that this is going to open the floodgates for people to up their revenue and get an opportunity to make some more money.
Wow, that's actually pretty cool, and that's I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to want to get in on that because that sounds like a good investment. Tell me more about your app, the Light Out Sports app. I was watching. Yes. You have everything on there. You have documentaries. I saw you have LFA, Glory. I was watching kickboxing, so I was like on the phone, just chilling, and I'm like, wow, Real Madrid TV, like soccer. There's soccer on there. You name it. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I've been around this thing for a while. And so Lights Out Sports TV is a free ad-supported streaming platform. And so the good thing about that is we got all the sports and all the top categories, your fishing, hunting. We got Wired to Fishing as one of my favorite, Outdoor America, which is another cool one, World Poker Tour, Poker Go, TNA Wrestling is probably my personal favorite between that and Swerve Combat that carries some LFA and some other combat sports. 300 sports movies and documentaries, and then 17 different live sports. And a lot of original programming, man. We had a 60-minute live tailgating show that we launched with a couple NFL teams this year. And then I got the East-West Shrine Bowl practices in a few weeks. So that's going to be really cool for us because Shador Sanders, I think, will be practicing, or at least be there, and Travis Hunter and Deion Sanders. And this week is going to be incredible. It's going to be next level one-on-one battles against the offensive lineman and defensive lineman. Got all the pro scouts and owners there. This whole week is going to be great for us. So, yeah, that starts from the 25th, and I'll be exclusively on Lights Out Sports TV for right now.
Oh man, I'm excited for that one. That sounds really fun. We got all these. Got the game yesterday. We got a game today, and then we got the playoffs this weekend. And your event on the 7th, is that the Super Bowl weekend, or is that?
That is Super Bowl weekend. And originally, it's funny, we had it January 25th, but I pushed it back because we got the East-West Shrine Bowl, obviously, that I'll be producing and be at. But then more importantly, man, I mean, what's bigger than the Super Bowl weekend, right? And we put it on that Friday, so I'll be at the Super Bowl Monday through Thursday. I'll come back for the weigh-ins and the fight on Friday, so I get a chance to go out there and talk football, but also talk about the fight. Because what we're doing now at this point, man, we're leveling up big time, and convert more than football fans, man, to come watch us. That's a platform that I built. Because I played on the biggest stage there with the NFL, but also too, man, there's a lot of football fans that love fighting. They love combat sports, and so I'm encouraging more and more when I go and get these talk on these platforms, to get the opportunity to talk on these platforms, to bring more and more of these eyeballs over, man. Let them know what we're doing over at Lights Out Extreme Fight.
Love to see that, yeah, and they want to keep themselves busy too, and nothing better than some combat sports. I saw that's crazy. I didn't know you had combat sports in your blood, like from boxing and all that. I thought you just kind of like got into it after football. So you've kind of been in there. What about with wrestling? I saw you messed with wrestling a little bit.
Yeah. I
saw you in Rebellion and AJ Francis. That was funny, man. That was good. I love that. And then you clotheslined Joe Hendry. That was perfect, man. That was dope.
Yeah, I'm not a believer of Joe Hendry, so yeah, that was cool. Now the guys over there at Anthem and TNA Wrestling, they've been great to work with, and we got some more stuff planned down the road for sure. That's also my blood, man. I mean, I did a pay-per-view, I think around 2011 or 12 or something like that, maybe a little bit before then. With the WWE in San Diego, and that kind of opened the gates to the opportunity to get into the ring. And outside of, again, we talk about being a fan of something first. I think that in order for you to really, really get into something and really love it, you got to be a fan of it first, because you got to have a passion to do it, right? I trained at the WWE facility down in Orlando, and trust me, they kick ass. I mean, it's not as easy as people think it is. And those ropes and the bumps and the flips and the trust me, I've been clotheslined and done a lot of clotheslining behind closed doors. So just to have that experience to do that, and then like you said, do the pay-per-view with TNA Rebellion. I mean, that thing got a massive bang, dude. No one saw it coming. It was like out the blue. No one really knew I was there. Yeah, it was a home run. So we're gonna build off of that for sure. But we got something special coming.
Hell yeah, love to hear that, man. I'm a big wrestling fan too, and seeing AJ, a lot of people don't know he's from Maryland too, so it was pretty dope. Like that was pretty dope. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, he played football. He's pretty damn good, man, and football player at Maryland. And he's a big dude. AJ's a big dude, man. He's great on the mic. One thing, he's great on the mic, man. He's really good at that. So yeah, and he got a new contract with TNA, so I'm happy for him.
Nice. Yeah. So, what's your goal now? Like, obviously, you see your promotion or where it's going now. You see it not from where you started. Obviously, you had your goals, but now you can see it. Like, you can kind of tell where your next move is. Like, dude, what's your dream for I guess putting the athletes on, right? Like
that. I actually, and maybe it's for selfish reason, I actually like promoting these other guys. sometimes it's weird for me to even kind of be the face of a lot of this stuff because I actually really enjoy like promoting these guys and letting people know about them. You know, I've been fortunate because I built a pretty big platform on my own that I get a chance to talk about this next up and coming superstar. You know, like I see these guys and I'm like, I've been around there for almost 20 years, so I see it when I see one of these guys, I can look at him and identify him like, yeah, he's gonna be big, right? Like I'll give you an example. We had a Chris Alvidrez.
We had him on the show, my friend. Yeah,
what's
we
that?
just had him. We interviewed him. My friend Rush Hour. He had him on here. So,
so let me tell you about him. So, you know, I was hearing about him from multiple people, and we got a chance to sign him to a multi-fight deal. The weigh-ins, you know, he pull up, he got this sprinter. Mind you, you know, we got, you know, really, really, really good up and coming talent. But it was something about him, and he got off this sprinter bus and he had his headphones on. He was locked in. He just had a look and feel about him when he got there to the weigh-ins. You know, I just watched some of these guys' mannerisms, and he's on time, did all the right stuff. And you're like, okay, it's before I actually saw him fight with us, I said something about this kid, man. He got something a little bit different than everybody else. And sure enough, dude, he got near the first time and just went crazy. I mean, I don't think the fight went 30 seconds. Or, you know, it was like somewhere in the first round, but it was quick. And so much damn power in those hands. And then he was a damn good high school football player too. Because I didn't know that originally. I heard he played football, but you know, like everybody played football in high school a little bit. But I found out, and I got words from like several people that played with him, against him, and coach. They're like, he can go. He was really good. But I can see it. I can see why that translates to what he's doing in the cage, because he's very explosive. And we got several guys, man, who I think just gonna have a real shot at the UFC. I don't tell you the truth, man. I don't know how long we can keep Chris. I would love to sign him to a new deal, but I can't see that, you know, the UFC is not coming after him and signing him at some point here soon. And multiple other guys too, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, he's fighting on February 7th. If he wins, he'll probably get a title shot, right, with you. If he doesn't,
that's the goal. I think that, you know, he got one more fight with us and fight for a title, and I think after that he might be gone. You know, I would love to retain him for as long as we could, but you know, some of these guys, it's just impossible because, like I said, they are ahead of the curve in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it's better for them, and and better. It looks better on you too, you know, like the promotion, like seeing everybody. Yeah. Like, I mean, Sean Sharaf got signed to the UFC off of your promotion, so that was pretty dope to see, and it's a win-win for both the fans, 100%. The fighters, and obviously you. So February 7th, right? Long Beach, California.
Yep, February 7th, Long Beach, California. It'll be live on Lights Out Sports TV. So you guys make sure you download that of any smart TV you got out there: Roku, Amazon, Apple TV, TCL, Vizio, you name it. You can download us on there everywhere, iOS, Android. This one's going to be our biggest one we've ever had. You know, the ticket sales already been kind of crazy. And we normally pick up like a few weeks before the fight. We really start. It's already moving now. And I think it's just the brand growing and people knowing about it and people just getting ready for the next one.
Yeah, well, I mean, looks like I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to buy my ticket now. I'll be there for sure. I'm not too far
through, man. Yeah. Just hit us up. We'd love to take care of you. And hit us up, man. We'd love to take care of you. It's gonna be a big one.
Two things before I let you go. How you feeling about your Chargers this weekend?
I think the cards feel right for them guys. You get what I'm saying? I think that everything happened for a reason, and I think this could be a sleeper year for them. I think they're the dark horse in the playoffs, and because they got Houston first, nothing against Houston, but you would hate to play the Ravens first. So you know, this is a game that they can win, and let's see what happens after that.
Maybe we'll see a Rams Chargers Super Bowl.
That would be crazy, right?
And why didn't you sign with the WWE, WWF?
Yeah, it was a couple. I think the biggest reason was, you know, lights out in the name and the rights and things like that. I mean, the WWE is they are who they are because they create superstars. That's what they do. My situation was a little bit different, where you're coming in with a built name, and people know who you are already, and I have ownership of my name. So it's a little bit different situation, but it was good. It was, we still got a great relationship. I still, when I see Paul, Triple H, and a lot of the guys there, a lot of the talent, people upstairs and the executive team, on the sponsorship team, on the licensing team, we still talk very often. So we got a great relationship still.
Awesome. Well, thank you for spending some time with us today. I wish nothing but the best for you the rest of the year. Nothing but up. My two boys from the program, they're from DC. They wanted to say hi to you, Mike and Rush Hour. So
Mike, Rush Hour, what's up, guys?
Hopefully we can chop it up.
You got
Hopefully
it.
we can chop it up again. I'll see you later, sir. Thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks for having me on.